Welcome, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Michael Liendo. I am a senior developer advocate here at Orkes, where we do microservice orchestration, right? Agentic workflow orchestration. We're kind of a orchestration powerhouse for all of your needs, but we're going to get into that later on. For the purposes of this workshop, we're going to be talking about how you can make workflows, orchestration workflows, that marvel. And I'm a sucker for a good pun. So I just have to jump right into it, okay? My boss told me, Michael, it would be awesome if you could put together like a real world scenario with the insurance industry. And I was like, okay, cool, cool. Like, I mean, I love making demos, is what I do. But he didn't specify which world. And that was the problem. Because in my mind, I thought it'd be really cool if we talked about the heroes that are in things like the Avengers, right? Those movies. And when I'm not talking about Hulk and Spider-Man and all those people. I'm talking about the real heroes, right? When Hulk throws your car across the field, the insurance agents are the ones that have to help out. And so I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to start with this workshop. Give you a peek into the mad mind of me. What we have here is insurance for a world of superhero challenges. Okay. Now, keep an eye on the chat because I'm just going to be throwing links in the chat throughout the workshop. In fact, I'm going to give you the first link right now. For those of you that want to go ahead and maybe go ahead of what we're doing. Okay. So, where's the chat here? I'm going to get really good at this by the end of the hour. Okay. So, if you want to go ahead and clone the repo and get the front end set up. Totally cool. We're going to be walking through that together. And that's pretty much how this workshop is going to be structured, right? So we have the workshop that I'm going to walk through. And then if you want to dive ahead, totally fine. All right, but we're here. We have insurance for a world of superhero challenges. And this is the insurance company that I have. And I spent the time to make this a little too detailed. But in any case, right, you have things like mutation onset protection, Avenger level, property protection, things of that nature, things that pertain to the insurance industry. Additionally, you can come down here, you can check out FAQs, but really, I want to showcase what it's like when you talk to an agent. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on Get Coverage. And this is where the magic begins. So I'm going to select Start Consultation. And you can see that we've been connected to Agent Colson. Awesome. It looks like, oh, we just got a message back. Hello, welcome to Stark Shield Insurance. One-stop shop, right? For all of our coverage against all things extraordinary. Do we want to know about certain plans? I'm going to zoom back out. It's probably easier if I bump up the font size. I'm going to say, yeah, the Hulk is looking like he's going to throw my car. So we'll get something like this set up. My car. And I'm going to hit enter here. Now, again, hands off the keyboard, right? There's no me doing additional assistance here. What's happening is that my request is being sent off to a workflow. The workflow then has to assess what it is that I said and come back here with some information, some specific insurance information, right? You can't just Google this. This is a whole nother universe, remember? So it's like, okay, cool. It sounds like I might need our Avenger level property protection plan. Do we want to go ahead and look at this? Or here are some probing questions. Do we need additional coverage because of alien activity or timeline disruptions? For the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and say that we're good. No, that seems perfectly fine. Just set me up with that one. I said, okay, cool. I told it, this is pretty much the end of the conversation. It has to make the decision on what to do next. It can continue to ask me probing questions, but realistically, I just let it know that I have everything done. Now it's thinking for a moment, but all in all, I believe if I were to check my email, see here, then I should have gotten an email response. I'm going to give it just a moment here. And okay, cool. Thanks. This all helps a lot. I just emailed you an invoice based off of today's conversation. Feel free to go ahead and review it. And then it shows that the agent disconnected the call. Okay. So there's a complete cycle and it just came through. I'm going to slide this over on a different screen here. Let's go this one. And this is the email that I just received. Bump that up for all of you. And we get our insurance invoice, right? So we get full interactivity. And on the customer's end, we never actually realized that we were with an agent. I'm getting a sign that screen sharing is paused. Can you all see my screen still? Or is Zoom just being wonky? I'm going to look at the chat.
We see your front end, but not your email interface.
Yes, you do see my email interface?
We do not.
Oh, gotcha. I think I'm sharing the window. And so let me stop real quick. Shout out to Zoom for helping me out. Go screens. And let's see here. Oh, the whole layout experience changed. One second. All right, we have that. And then let's go with this one. So I believe it's that one. And you can see this one. Yeah. Um, so this is the email that you get. So we have this in place. And this is done via a SendGrid integration. And again, this is powered by our workflow. So dear value customer, yada, yada. And it lets us know contextually based off of the conversation that we had. It's like, hey, you were talking about the Hulk in that conversation. So I'm going to create an email template based off of that conversation about the Hulk with the pricing information that's specific to the company. This is the workflow that we're going to create. And I hope you're all excited. There's bound to be flubs along the way, but you know that's part of the workshop experience. So let's dive into it. Um, I went ahead and I shared this repo, and as I mentioned, I'm going to be walking you all through this just as if I were you. So if I'm moving too fast, let me know. But I do want to cater this to what we have here. So first things first, I pasted the link to the Git repo inside of the chat. Definitely go ahead and check that out. Um, Now I'm all confused. Now I don't know when I'm sharing and when I'm not. Okay, this is still showing GitHub. It's only giving me the option to share screens, and I want to share like my desktop. Da, da, da. Otherwise, it get really annoying to share everything. Let me try this one more time. Share. I think the admin maybe didn't give me all of the rights. Yes. Okay. Apologies, folks. Let's go. I'm just gonna share like all of my windows here. Let's do that one, and this one. Unless I'm missing something, Zoom experts in the crowd. I have the option to share. Like, let me show you what I see. Oh, I guess I can't because I can't share my screen. Um, I have the option to share screens, but like only as like specific windows. What I want to do is like share this monitor, like the whole monitor. Uh, I'm trying. Bear with me here. Okay. I I think it's a permissions thing. I'm gonna go ahead and just continue on with the show. So let's share this out. So let's go here. And what I'm gonna do is just git clone, right? And bring in that repo. So I think I got a typo here. There we go. I already have one in place. So I'm gonna call this one, Shield Insurance 2. But on your end, feel free to just call it whatever it was, right? So let me make that a little smaller. And then I can CD into that application that I just created. Awesome. And I am using Cursor as my code editor, but feel free to use whatever code editor that you have installed. We'll start this up by saying cursor dot, and then this will open up the insurance flow. So inside of here, let me just go ahead and share this window. So we'll go here. Okay. I think that's the wrong window. Got it. Whoops. Okay. So we have this in place. And then now what I'm going to do is just install all of my dependencies. So I'm going to bump this up so we can see it a little bit more. And I can say npm I or npm install, whichever you prefer. We're installing the dependencies, and this is just bringing in all of the packages for our project. Have that set up, great. And then you'll notice that we have a sample.env.local file here. There are a couple of fields that we need for this workshop to function correctly. Some of them I've already provided for you. Others you're going to have to fill in when you create your own workflow, and I'll walk you through all of that. The first one is going to be a JWT token. Super easy. We just give you a copy and paste button. I'm going to expect everyone to name their workflow Marvel Insurance Demo. So that way, we're all on the same page in terms of what to call this thing. Orkes will automatically give you a webhook. We'll see what that looks like. Feel free to populate this with whatever username you go by. Online, I typically go by my alias of Focus Otter, but if you have, just, MT Liendo, if it were me, feel free to do you. Task reference, we're going to name this conversation response, and I actually do want us to all name it that way. And then I threw in some freebies for all of us. I have a public API key that we're using in case you're wondering, like, how was I sending messages from the front end to the back end? This publicly available API key is what we'll be using. I'm going to delete it after the workshop. And then you also have access to this HTTP endpoint. If this is the API key, this is the URL that we need to be calling, and it's going to be in US East 1. Spoiler alert, it's an AWS feature. Cool. So we have this in place, and again, this is all in the code that we supplied. So when our dependencies are installed, I can kick things up over in my terminal by running npm run dev. And by doing this, I'm going to do the whole screen sharing dance. I'm going to switch things over and go to my application. Here we go. And there you go. Whoops. Okay. I just refreshed and everything seemed to pop up. But now you have the application running locally on your front end. Right? It's not connected to our workflow or anything like that. No worries, but you can go to get coverage. And when you come here, you should have the exact same application that I just demoed to you. When you click start consultation, it should work. But you see that there was an error, and it's like, hey, I wasn't able to connect. That is probably the extent of the error handling that you'll see in this application from me. But we have that in place. And then can I just maybe get like a quick thumbs up from everybody to make sure that we're good from here? I'm good with going at my pace, but I don't know what your paces is. Your pace are. I think looking at the comments, I think we're good. Good. Okay, I'm just gonna assume we're good. Um, so we're here, right? We're logged in, and now we have our front end application running. We have to get this beast like working and connected to our backend. I showed you where those environment variables go, but we have to get onto the platform that allows us to show them. Now that place is orkes.io. It's kind of the star of the show, and I'll paste the link in the chat for everybody here. Oh, thanks, Rachel, for pasting the link again. So orkes.io, this is going to be again, the place where we can have all of our workflows created. Super easy to get signed up. In fact, if you just kind of click on the sign up button and log in with email, password, Google, whatever you prefer, it'll take you to a place like this. I'm purposely speaking a little bit extra so that you can all get a chance to click those buttons if it's your very first time. Okay. First thing that becomes available to us. Once you get logged in, all you have to do is scroll down here. And remember, I was mentioning that JWT token. We give you like a one-click option to get it copied, right? You just kind of click over here, and then you can paste that value into your code editor. So by copying this, heading back over into Cursor, we can get that set up. I think what I can probably do to make life a little bit easier is it will let me share these two windows. So let me do this window and Chrome. Okay, you can all see that. And then when I flip over, okay, cool. You can all see that. I think we're in business. So I was over here. And for those of you that are just kind of coming along here, I clicked on copy token right down here. And I went ahead and I took that, and you can paste it right where it says your Orkes JWT. It's a good spot for it. Great. And this is just a way to associate our front end to our back end, right? They have the ability to talk to one another. Now, as I mentioned, we're creating workflow orchestrations, right? We're creating these things so that we can visualize and understand what the moving bits are in our application. Because the truth is, even if you don't have a workflow that looks like this, you don't have to follow along at this part. But even if you don't have a workflow that looks like this, the fact is you still have like an orchestration layer inside of your project. It's just a matter of, is it in code? Is it in the UI? You can do all of the, if this, try catch that, switch statement here, do while there, all day, every day. And you can write that in your code, no big deal. However, when you have it in a visual editor, it gives you sort of a clear way to visualize to stakeholders what is going on in your application. Now, I'm actually in the camp of, it has to be in code. Otherwise, how can you version control this thing, right? So at the end of the day, even though this is an expressive UI editor, what I like is that we give you all of the code so that you can do your own thing. If I come over here and click on code, this entire thing is just expressed as a JSON file. I can take this and version control it and make my architects and lead engineers happy, and then I can still work on it in the UI editor at the end of the day because that's going to make my project managers happy. Okay, but this is what we're going to be creating. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough to show you what's been going on. Meg, I see a comment here upon clicking sign up. You see welcome to Orkes page without even creating an account. And you don't see groups as an option under access control. Um, Under access control, you don't see groups. That's okay. You don't need groups here. As long as you can get to the sign up screen, we're not going to be messing with groups or anything like that. We're just going to click on copy token. The one thing is that in applications, I went ahead and created an application and I just gave it unrestricted access. But the main thing, if you see a different option here, is that you just need the copy token. But yeah, that's all that's needed. And once you get signed up, everything should be good from there. Um, is anyone else having issues with getting logged in? Okay, cool, cool, cool. Looks like we're good. Okay, so let's take a peek at what's happening here. And this is just going to give you like a really clear explanation of what was going on in our front end. When things got set up, I went ahead and I called a task. And essentially, when we start working with orchestration workflows, everything is a task, right? It's something to be done. The very first thing on our end to be done is going to be to set a variable. Now I'm going to skip over this do while loop and we'll come back to it because you'll see how it works together. But the very first thing is like, hey, set some global variables. I'm cheating here, to be honest. In reality, this would probably be something like a database call, and it's pulling in information. The README will show you the plan information that is actually that I'm sticking inside of here, but it's just my insurance plans with the price. Nothing crazy. I'm not doing a big cheat. The next thing though is where things get interesting. This is an agentic workflow that we have set up. And you might be asking, what makes it agentic? Well, it's the fact that we have this LLM that is making a decision, and that decision influences what other LLMs do. I think the I'm not gonna call it dumb. It's the dumb. I think the dumb definition that people throw out there is like it's agentic if it has agency, and I just don't like it because it has the word in the definition, right? But the reality is that if it can make an unpredictable amount of decisions on your behalf, then you have an agent. If you just have, talk to this LLM, you have an LLM in production, but that's not what we're doing here. We're taking it a step further. So this decision-making LLM is going to take in some variables. By the end of this workshop, hopefully you'll understand all of these. But it's just like working with ChatGPT, right? I gave it, it's looking at the plan information. It's saying, hey, when you set those variables, the message history is empty. And I don't know what the current plan bundle that we're recommending to the customer is. So let's just continue, right? I'm going to make a decision based off of that. The decision that I ended up making, if we look at our workflow execution on the first iteration, I know I'm going fast. I'm just walking you through it. On the first iteration, we told it, oh, come on. There we go. On the first iteration, the output was simply, hey, there isn't a message history. So we need to ask questions to determine their needs and which insurance plans are relevant. Now, the follow-up that you might have is how does it know the context of plans and what its purpose is? We'll cover that. But it gave us a result as JSON, and we're using that to influence what happens down the path. On the first iteration, it goes down the send message path. And you can tell because when I came up here on the output, the next step, whoops, on the first iteration was send message. So I have a switch statement that says if the output is send message, we're in a conversation. We're talking. We have to investigate and see what is going on. So now we're here and we're on the first iteration and it gave us that message. Hello, welcome to Stark Shield Insurance, yada, yada. And what's really cool is that we have guardrails in place that give us things like reasoning. As such, right here, I'm going to bump this up for us. Right? Why did you pick that message? And it's like, well, since this is a new conversation with no prior information, I went ahead and I did that. We're going to compute some values. Essentially, all we're doing here is just combining the existing message with this new message. Um, let me show you here. Back in my workflow. Um, super complicated JavaScript, right? I mean, it's 2 lines. It's an array. It's taking in the current messages and adding on this new message. We're going to compute this variable. And all we're going to do is just update our message history. This is kind of small because I'm so zoomed in. But you can see our message history right here. From there, we're going to call an HTTP task. This is going to be an endpoint. And that endpoint is going to send a message to our front end of basically, here's what we should be doing next. I'm pausing my entire workflow while I wait. And then as our front end um, connects to this webhook, then we are going to add that to our new message history. And because we're in a do while loop, we start the whole thing all over again. And that's the sequence of what we have. It's a conversation, but at each and every interaction point, whether it's going to be coming from our LLM or through our users trying to get the insurance policy, we have decision making taking place, and we don't know when that's going to end. That's why it's agentic. At the end of the day, a couple things are going to happen. We can either say, something blew up along the way. I'm just going to terminate the entire workflow. Or ideally, if it's not a conversation, we're in two other scenarios. One you saw, we can email an invoice to the customer. We've reached the end of our conversation. Okay, so generate an email for me, send it over to SendGrid, and then let the customer know, hey, the conversation is ended. We've reached that point. I've emailed it to you. You saw what that looks like. But again, speaking on guardrails and what this looks like in enterprise applications, what happens when we have a human involved? Because the customer says, I really hate talking to bots. Help me out and let's put a human in the loop here. I can do that with Orkes. I could say, pause this entire workflow until we get a human to approve or disapprove what's going on. We do that. I notify the front end. Cool. Sorry, I couldn't complete your request. Got a manager involved. They'll reach out shortly and we terminate the request. And that's the flow. So let's go ahead and build this thing out step by step. I believe I'm going to need what can I do? Let's slide this one over here and we'll walk through this together. So I'm going to create a new workflow. And this is the kind of part where I need you to let me know if I go too fast. I'm going to come over here inside of definitions, and we're going to create a new workflow. Now, the important part here, right? We need to call this workflow. This is like the one deviation that we have. We need to call it Marvel Insurance Demo. A lot of the API keys and setups that we have in our front end rely on this part right here. I just can't do this part because I already have one, right? So I'm going to call mine 2, but you don't do that. This is going to be a workshop for PlatformCon. Awesome. We have that in place there. And what do we need here? You see that it gave us like an HTTP task. It gave us some business rules. On my end, I'm actually just going to save this just to see that the code does get generated for me. I think I'm zoomed in a little too much. But when you click on save, you'll notice that we get that JSON representation here. And we also get a diff showing that we didn't have anything to begin with. And now we have this being created for us. I'm going to confirm this. And awesome, we're off to the races. Now the um, input parameters. So when we start this workflow, what are the things that this workflow relies on? And it's just one thing. If we go to input parameters, it's going to be our messages. And we're simply informing our workflow what it expects as to be passed into it. Okay, what is that key? Great. So we have that. I'm going to be saving like crazy throughout this workshop. So again, I'm going to click save. And if you want to, you can always come down here and see all it did was add in the parameters. Cool. Next thing, we need to set up that initial variable. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 tasks right here by just clicking this X. Great. Zoom in a little bit for you all. Let me stay. Go. And then now we can add in that first one. If I click on this plus right here, we're going to call this set variable. Once you click on set variable, we're going to add in those parameters that I showed you earlier. I actually need to go to the README myself because I don't have that insurance plan memorized. So let's go here. And where's my README? There we go. Awesome. So over in the README, I'm just going to click on this copy button, head back over to our plan. And remember that we called this insurance plans like this, underscore plans. Great. And the value that we gave it is an object slash array. And I'm simply going to paste in that entire array, just like that. We have that in place. And if I scroll down, we can go and add on two other variables that we know we need, right? The first one is going to be our message history. Message, what am I doing here? Underscore history. And that's going to be an empty array. We'll just populate that as the flow continues. And then we have our plan bundle. Scroll down again. Plan bundle. Again, this is going to be an object and it's empty. Awesome. We have this in place. I can save this out. You can see my workflow is updated with the task that we deleted and then the new task that we ended up adding. We're going to click on confirm here. And we can continue on to our next step. Now, the next step is pretty interesting, if you recall. Our next step is to say, keep doing something an infinite amount of times. Because again, we don't know when our agent is going to be done. So we need to tell it, you can just keep on going if you want to. So I'm going to click on this and we'll say do while. We see this one right here. And it gives us a box where we can just start adding tasks. Now, here's the first part of our integration flow, where we can start adding in LLMs and seeing what it looks like to incorporate those into our project. The one that we're going to add is going to be LLM, and then we have text complete, right? Just like that. Now, we want to give this a logical name, right? Text complete isn't all that cute. So inside of here, and again, like the thing to make sure is that you don't want to be clicking on your do while part. You see it says do while right here. You want to click on your actual task inside of your do while. So we have that. And I want to call this, I can name it like my own variable, right? So it's going to be a next step. And we'll call it like a next step decider. Super clever name, right? However, this task needs to know what LLM provider we're going to be working with. Mine knows, it already has it set up. But you guys just created brand new accounts and you don't have one set up. So let's fix that. I'm going to save this for the time being. Okay. I went ahead and I click save. And we're going to add in our first integration. This integration is going to come over here on the sidebar, right where it says integrations. I'm going to click on that. Now again, I already have one, so I'm going to throw off my naming a little bit. But I encourage you all to name this integration Orkes, whatever, OpenAI, right? It'll be easy for you to find because you only have that one. But let me show you what it looks like here. When you click on integration, to show you, just in case I was going too fast, I clicked on integration here, new integration. And you can see all the different integrations that we have at Orkes. If it's AI, we can incorporate with Anthropic. We have all the popular models, right? Gemini, OpenAI, Hugging Face, etc. We're going to be using SendGrid in just a moment. Message brokers, SES, Apache Kafka, etc. And they can also tie into databases, whether that be relational or vector. Pretty cool. MongoDB is on here, all that good stuff. We're going to be using OpenAI. So I'm going to add this as a new integration and give it a name. As I mentioned, my integration name is going to be different from yours, and I encourage all of you to have different integration names. But I'm going to call this, Orkes, and then we'll say Liendo Workshop. And then you probably need an OpenAI key. Now, if you don't have an OpenAI key, not a problem. I have one for all of you all that is just for this workshop. I will absolutely be deleting this after the workshop. But in between now and then, don't rack up a huge bill, please. So let me paste this in the chat for you all. So OpenAI key. There you go. Nothing like pasting an API key. Like I feel so icky right now. Pasting an API key inside of the inside of the chat goes against everything I've ever been taught. So once you have that in place, right, I'm going to go ahead and paste that as well right inside of here and give it a description. Right? This is going to be the MCU PlatformCon workshop and click on save. Awesome. I have this in place. Nothing too crazy, nothing crazy about it. And now I can start making use of this. So I have an integration and I want to associate, like an integration is just like us keeping track of your API key, right? You see I have SendGrid in here. I have OpenAI, but I'm not associating this integration with a prompt. Again, how did my AI model know it was supposed to be making a decision, right? So in that case, I'm specifically to go back to the sidebar and create an AI prompt. Now, this part I don't have to recreate. You can all just kind of copy and paste what I have here. But I have a decision maker prompt, right? Gave it the decision maker name. And I'm specifically using ChatGPT 4.1. So you can see that if I come over here and I click on add an AI prompt, because again, yours would be empty. Add an AI prompt. I can give it a name, just like how I did with all of you. Orkes, and we'll call this like our PlatformCon workshop. Which models do you want to use? I'm going to go ahead and select GPT-4 there. On your end, is that part populating for you all? You can get like a thumbs up or something.
Nope.
I get no for some. I'm getting some thumbs up and some not. Yeah, but not with ChatGPT 4. Okay, let me go back to the integration. Let's discard. Here is my workshop. So what I did is I came over here, I clicked on save. We have this in place. And you see where it says like models? I can, there we go. Going back to my flubs, if you click on this plus icon right here, right, it'll give you the option to add a model. So I'm going to click on that. And then now you can give your model a name. So it sounds like some of you clicked on that already and you had it, but this is what I'm calling my, Orkes. Actually, this model name has to be the actual name of the model that you want to use. So for the purposes of this workshop, we'll go ahead and call ours GPT. It's just pulling it straight from the OpenAI docs, right? So GPT 4.1 is what you want to name yours. Again, I'm going to go with the Orkes workshop or PlatformCon and then click save. But super important to name it what it is in that provider's docs. So GPT 4.1 is what we're using. Clicking on save and going back over to our AI prompt, you can see that I have this decision maker. And I might as well show you all like what it looks like to create a brand new AI prompt. So we're going to come over here, add an AI prompt. This is a do as I say, not as I do moment. So you call yours decision maker. I'm going to call mine decision maker too, because I already have that, right? Which models to use? Okay, cool. Awesome. So now you can see it's using GPT 4.1. Thank you for the confirmation. You can see that I have two here, right? One for the workshop. Now here's where things get fun. This is the 2025 like practice of prompt engineering, right? So when it comes to a description, this is for us. So it makes decisions based off of the current state of the conversation, right? Nothing too crazy there. Feel free to do whatever you want inside of there. However, when it comes to the actual prompt itself, this is where things get interesting because now we need to start thinking about how we can reason with this thing and start injecting context into it. So what I'm going to do is head over here to this README and scroll all the way down. I'm super zoomed in here. prompt for decision maker. And this will just be some text that you can copy. Save that up. And cool. I am committing my JWT, but it expires in like 2 minutes, so it's not a big deal. In case some of you are like, what is he doing? What do we have here? Cool, saved, adding prompt. Oh, whoops. Speaking of things expiring. Awesome. So if you go over to the README, you can see that I just pushed up
Could you share the
a
whole screen, please?
oh yeah,
We
yeah.
can't see your README.
Oh, I put it on the it's the same link as before. Oh, sorry. I should probably you're right. You're right. So for the decision maker, I added this text just now. There we go. So inside of here, if you copy this prompt for the decision maker and take this and put it back into that Orkes prompt, where you at here, you end up with something like this. Now I'll give you a moment to kind of review that and look it over. Right? So you're an insurance decision maker based in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I learned that I had to actually say that. Otherwise, when I was like, hey, the Hulk is smashing my car, it was like, haha, that's super funny. I'm not going to help you because that's a made up scenario. I was like, no, 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 like you're in this world. So you're tasked with doing all this, right? I'm not going to read the whole thing. The important bits are that I'm telling it what the its responsibility should be. Someone is asking to look at the sample.env.local file. It is in the README, but I'll come back to that in just a second. So I'm telling it like, hey, what are the logical steps that we should be doing here, right? This is the flow that you should be operating in. Tell me what the logical step should be. Give me the reasoning behind your decision making. I don't want my AI agent to be going off of the rails. What customer insurance bundle should be based off of this current conversation? And it gets reevaluated every time we loop, right? So it'll get appended to, but I've noticed that based off of the conversation, if it had a plan initially, it can also take away that plan. If I say, thanks for the context, or maybe thanks for the price, that's beneath my budget. I no longer want it, and it will append or decrement that plan. And then these are the things that you have access to. You can escalate, send a message, or email invoice. Just note that I had that default case of just shut things down. Right. Additionally, I told it what it means to be inside of these cases. What does it mean to escalate? What does it mean to send a message or email? And as we can do nowadays, return only the following JSON structure with no commentary, explanations, or any of that other stuff. The worst thing is when it's like, give me just JSON. And then, it's like, great, here is your JSON. And I'm like, now I got to do a nasty regex. No, no, no. You can tell it nowadays. Like, it should be parsable. This is your acceptance criteria. And based off of all of that, right now I can start bringing in variables. This is the message history. And I want to point this out because when you type in, $ curly brace message history, you can test this model out on the sidebar. And Orkes will recognize that and say, oh, okay, if you wanted to see what this happened to be like outside of a workflow, you can absolutely do that. Same thing with insurance plans. As you can see here, right? I'm feeding it all of the insurance plan data, and same with that plan bundle. And then lastly, we have guidelines in place. Read through the entire message history, right, and plan information before you even make a decision. It has to know the order of operations. It's like a toddler. You have to teach it. So we have this in place. I'm super zoomed in, and I'm going to save this, right? Decision maker 2. You can see that I have this template here. So I'm going to confirm that save. Now, if you want to, on your own time, now you can test this model out, right? You can come here, you can give it the various items that it needs, and then you can feel free to have fun with it all day. We're going to go back over into our workflow. And now when we have this LLM text complete, now we can populate it with information, right? We can tell it, actually, the LLM provider that I want to use, the one that has the context on everything we've been doing, is going to be this one for the workshop. And I can associate different models because not all models are created equally, right? You can have Gemini, you can have Claude, you can have OpenAI, doesn't really matter. The one that we set up, because I gave you the free API key, is going to be GPT 4.1. And then lastly, the prompt template that we created, we have Decision Maker 2 in this case. And recall that in that template, I specifically said you need to have plan information. You need to have message history, right? The LLM is expecting me to provide all of those. So Orkes is smart enough to say, okay, let's go ahead and set up some fields so that we can make that happen. Pretty cool. Just gonna pause for a second, let you all get caught up. Okay, so where do these values come from? But we're just injecting them. So on our end, the first one, it's gonna be a string, but it's an interpolated string, right? We're gonna be passing in a variable. Now, the cool thing is that we populate automatically a bunch of variables for you. And the one that we're looking for is going to be, oh, it's being funky because I'm zoomed in, is I'm just going to do $ curly brace. And then inside of the curly brace, we can do workflow dot variables. Actually, I should probably not just type it out. Okay. Workflow dot variables dot message underscore history. I believe it's at the very bottom if you scroll. I just couldn't get to it because I was super zoomed in. But workflow dot variables dot message underscore history. And just as a reminder, that's coming from the fact that we set that variable as our very first task, right? We're just pulling that in is all we're doing. So that's our plan bundle.
Shouldn't that variable be variables.plan bundle?
Variables up. Yes, thank you. I always appreciate having help in the crowd. Um, where are we at? So I'm going to rename this to message history. And then looks like we can get this one to be plan bundle, and then we'll just tweak this one. You get the golden star for today because you have my back. Um, okay. Message underscore history plan bundle. Same thing, right? Workflow dot variables dot plan bundle, and then we have the insurance plans. Those big old list of arrays that we set up in the beginning. Insurance plans. I'm going to zoom out just to show you that it should actually be populating. Yeah, at the very bottom if you scroll here. Just a little weird when I'm zoomed in. Great. For those of you that know, you can tweak the temperature and the token limit to vary the responses that you get, right? I'm not messing with any of that, but if you want it to be more creative, more expressive, etc., have fun. And from there, now we can set this up and save. Awesome. So we have this in place. And the very next step, I guess the thing that this is going to do is make a decision, right? We told it, like at the end of the day, you're going to have some reasoning and you're going to come up with a decision. So I need to set up as my next task inside of my do while loop, right? I'm still inside of that. Right here, I'm going to say switch. And the really cool thing about this is I can add on more cases. I know that I'm going to need 3 more. So the first one is our default case. And this is actually pretty straightforward. Our default case is just terminate, shut things down. So we can come inside of here and I'm going to say terminate the workflow. All right, that's my default. As another situation, we want to get into a send message case. So I'm going to click on this yellow plus sign right here. And we're going to say send message. So we're inside of here. And then the thing that we have, whoops, let me add this as our We're going to come back to this one in just a second, but this is an LLM chat complete. So we have our default case, we have our switch case, and then I'm going to switch this one from just the regular switch case to send message there. Here we go. And where is that toggle? Here. Oh, I'm highlighted over it. Cool. So we know as of right now, we have these two bits, and this is the part where I want to make sure we get this, and then we can focus on the email portion in just a second. But we've gone through this flow now, so we can speed it up just a little bit here, where we have another LLM, we have another integration that we want to occur inside of our app, and essentially, we need to associate this with an LLM provider, and then the important parts are that even though it's going to be with our same LLM provider and the same model, we want to give it different instructions, right? It doesn't make sense for it to make the decision-making instructions. So we don't want this. So let's go ahead, and if it lets us, yeah, let's save this out. We're still missing instructions. We're going to go back over into our integration. Sorry, our AI prompt, because we already have the integration set up. We're going to add another AI prompt. And in my case, it's going to be chat about insurance prompt. So I gave it this name. It knows which models to use. You can feel free to pick the same model that you had in the last one. And I gave it a description. Description I'll put in the chat so everybody can see it, but the other part's pretty long. So I'm going to put that in the README. Whoop, if I can copy. Let's see here. Oh, screen's being wonky. Maybe I can copy. Okay. I'm just gonna update the README real quick. I know that I don't think. Oh yeah, I think I'm sharing my screen right now. This is gonna be the prompt for the send message. Okay. So if you go back to the README, I just pushed those changes, so you'll be able to see exactly what I have in here. Give this a refresh, and then there's the prompt. Cool. Oh, I missed I missed the ending criteria. You can see that I have it in criteria tags. Let me throw that in real quick. Okay. Just double check, make sure that it's in there. And there we go. So there's your prompt. And again, not going to spend too much time on it. You can see that I'm passing in these variables right over here, the insurance plans, the message history, and the plan bundle. For this conversation to keep happening, it needs to know those things. So based off of the conversation, you either need to greet the customer or ask a probing question about which plans may best work for them, right? And use the message history. So look at the existing message history to analyze what are we doing here, right? What are the next steps? How should we be approaching these things? Because if it's a good conversation up until that point, and then all of a sudden the customer's like, look, we've gone back and forth, okay, get me to a human. Then this agent needs to be able to understand we have to stop. Despite there being a plan bundle in place, despite everything else, we need to move on to a different angle here. And then lastly, again, your task is to return a JSON array of objects in the following shape. And then I just give it this right here. And most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, it's pretty good. And if you want to take an advanced course, there's ways to handle, what happens when it's not so good. But yeah, that's what we have here. And now we're almost ready to tie this over into our front end. We just want to set up the next step. So over in my workflow, now that it's all saved, insurance demo 2, we have our send message. We have our instructions for the decision maker. Oh, did I not save mine? Decision maker, chat about insurance prompt. There we go. That was weird. Oh, that's the old one. Oh, that's odd. Is it? I just want to make sure. Are your instructions popping up for you all? Once we're in this section here. Okay, you have it. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Okay, cool. So I'm going to continue mine. I'm mixing and matching my names, so I'm sure I'm making silly mistakes here and there. But in any case, right, we want to chat about the insurance prompt and then pass in these same variables that we had before. Plan bundle, message history, insurance, etc. I'm sure that you had those from the previous section, but now we can chat about them. So we're here, and for the insurance plans, just to kind of recap that one, I think I have an extra one here, right? For the insurance plans, we have that. For the oh, Matthias, are you good? Oh, you're fine. Okay. For the message history, we have the same one as before. And again, I'm just pulling in those variables. Right? And the same thing with the plan bundle. You can come down here to the very bottom. If I wanted to, I can select on the plan bundle right here. Same things apply where I can, if I wanted to, add in, additional variables, but I think we're good from here. I'm going to save this out, confirm. Then now we can add on our next task. Last things to do are really just to set up the variables and then start connecting this to our front end. So we're just about there. Over on the plus right here, I'm going to click on the plus and select inline. So if we recall what's happening here, we're setting global variables, a decision is being made, presumably because the conversation history is empty, our LLM is going to say, well, it sounds like I need to send a message. We are going to go to our LLM. It sees the empty message history and it says, okay, I'm in charge of sending messages. It's an empty message history. I know that I need to greet them. So it creates that prompt and we need to append that to a variable and then send that over to our front end. Now let's compute the variable. And as I showed you before, computing it is actually pretty straightforward. So much, in fact, that if you have this inline task in place, all you have to do is paste in this right here. I'm going to paste that in the chat for everybody. So it's an immediately invoked function. You can see our UI is like, hey, you haven't set up these variables yet. And all we're doing is passing them along. So I'm going to grab that code, paste it inside of here. And then for the type, I'll set it to be a string because these are going to be interpolated strings once more. So in case you're wondering, this chat with customer LLM.output, right? It's like, where is that coming from? Well, we're giving our variables names, or rather our chats names. So we're referencing this section right here. By default, it has something silly, right? LLM chat complete ref. We want something more expressive. So I'm going to call it chat with customer LLM. And that's what I'm using as a reference variable in my subsequent tasks. So we have that in place on the inline portion of things. I'm going to call this one, instead of, inline ref, because we're going to have a couple of these. I'm going to call this our computed chat message. Okay. So referencing value 1 over here as this value, but again, trying not to be too blasé. Value 1 isn't very specific. We're going to call that system message. So we have system message here with this value. Instead of value 2, we're going to have our current message. There you go. So we'll have an array of all of our current messages. Let me see if I can make that bigger. There we go. It's still going to be a string because, again, we're just interpolating these values here. I'm going to stick that in just like that. Great. Got it. Oh, the reg squigglies are from, it just hasn't refreshed, but we do get 0 warnings inside of our UI. Cool. I'm going to save this out and confirm. And now that we've computed these values, all we have to do left is update it inside of our global state that we have. So here, I'm going to set a variable. And this variable is actually pretty straightforward. The only thing that we have to set is going to be the message history. Note that it has to be called message history because that's what we call it in our global state. It's still a string. And that computed value is going to be coming from computed chat message, which is this right here, right? Computed chat message dot output dot result. So you can do output dot metadata, output dot etc. We specifically are pulling off the result, which is what we returned from this function. Well, I'm just going to hover over these just to make sure that you can double check what you have real quick. So there's these areas. Note that it should be called computed chat message. Otherwise, it doesn't know what you're referencing. Looking back over our LLM chat, right? We changed this to be called chat with customer LLM. And then as awesomely called out, we have our plan bundle, which is going to be our workflow bundle. Message history points to the message history variable. Same thing with insurance plans. And then to tie it all together, we're not referencing this anywhere, so I kept it generic. You can change it if you want to. But really, all it's referencing is the message history, and it's being updated with what was returned in the previous inline task. Okay, so now here's the cool part where we get to set up the HTTP task, and then we can start testing things out in our front end. So I do want to leave time for Q&A. So we are going to say as the last task in this switch scenario that we want to send an HTTP request. So I'm going to come over here. As another node, we'll say HTTP. Okay. HTTP is kind of cool because we'll give you a dummy endpoint for you to populate, and you can send your CRUD operations or your RESTful operations there. Won't do anything, but you can at least test it out. I have one already set up for all of you. I care for you that much. And what we're going to say is that we have a reference name right here. I'm going to call it message underscore front end underscore app sync. I'm actually going to put that in the chat as well. This is going to be a post request, so let's change this. And then the endpoint, you'll definitely want, because this is what makes the magic happen, from the front end talking to the back end. There you go. And this is what's happening here is I have an endpoint that knows how to talk to our front end. It's a proxy, right? I've already deployed it. It's just a serverless function. I'd be more than happy to share the code with you. It's like 10 lines of code. But really, it's just a simple way for our Orkes workflow to communicate with our front end. Okay. I'm formerly from AWS, so I'm just partial to AWS services. In any case, what we want to send with it in the side of the body is going to be this right here. And I need you to make sure that the username that you set here is changed. It should be unique to you, like whatever your own username is. Okay. So a couple things are happening, and let me paste this in for you as well. So a couple of things are happening. The system message, meaning if our system decided to greet the user because the message history is empty, we need to respond appropriately, right? And that's what we have here. Cool. Our front end is already set up to say, hey, when the incoming message comes in, look at the event.body.system message. That part's set up for you, just because I love you all. The username, you have to change to be your own. Talked about that. And then we have a public API key. And this is a public API key. It's not going to do any damage if it goes anywhere. You don't have this set up, right? We haven't done this part. So let's save this and then let's fix it. So what I'm going to do is copy this string right here, AppSync MCU workshop API key, save, confirm. And the cool thing is that Orkes will securely store your secrets and API keys. If you host this on your own customer account, it'll be stored in whatever cloud provider you pick. But on our end, in the dev playground, we store that we store it securely behind the scenes. So I already have mine set up, and there's nothing to it really. You click on new environment variable right here on the side, and then up top, new environment variable. You give it a name, you give it a value, and you're all good there. But the important thing is that the name has to be this, otherwise it will not work. And then the key, let me just copy this for you and put that in the chat. Is that right there. So super important here that we have this in place. If you already know what you're doing, feel free to go back to your workflow and just make sure that your HTTP task has this set up. But now that you have those two pieces, we can go back over to our workflow. And on this HTTP task, two ways to do it. I'm using the JSON way just because it's easy to copy and paste and send to you all. You could absolutely do it as parameters, right? And paste it in here. And the cool thing is that if you do it that way, you do get the autocomplete to have it show up for you. So there it is, right at the bottom. Awesome. So as of right now, I believe everything is set up for our API to be able to communicate with our front end, right? We can't type back yet, but it should at least be able to greet us. So let's kind of verify that real quick by going over here, making sure that let me save this real quick. Oh my goodness. Inside of what I'm going to be using, .env file, where are we at? There we go. So inside of this file, you should have the following, right? Your copied JWT token that you grab from Orkes. And again, if you're on the website, you just scroll down here to copy token. We named it Marvel Insurance Demo. In order for us to talk to our front end, talk back to it, we have our webhook ID. We haven't done that yet. That's okay. Our task reference name, conversation response, right? Remember I said super important. You have to call this part conversation response, and that's part of our webhook. We haven't gotten there yet. Focus order, that's my username. Use your own username. Hopefully there aren't, like, you didn't pick John and like there's like 7 Johns in here. The public API key, I just shared that in the chat. And actually these parts should be in like already set up for you, right? Cool. So if that's all in place and our front end is set up, like, I'm scared now. It's like, what do we, you have to demo the thing. You should be able to come to your app, okay? Refresh the page. And if you click on start consultation, the one thing that should be happening is you click start. Oh, Oh, wait. Did I must not have configured something. What do we need? What do we need? Let's see here. Oh, you still see my Orkes page. I apologize about the screen sharing um, scenario. Let's figure this out. Let's do that one, that one. Okay, all good now. I appreciate you being active in the chat though. That's helping out a ton. So what we have here, right? Our JWT is in place. Um, I think mine expired, so I do need to go ahead and generate a new one. I'm just gonna copy this real quick. And let's go. Actually, there's a smarter way to do it. There we go. And save. So we have our Orkes JWT. We have our name, Marvel Insurance Demo. I believe I need to call mine Demo 2. Conversation response is in place, focus order is in place, and then all this other stuff should be the same. We have that. And then now, if I come over here, refresh, start, uh-oh, 2 issues. Next public username is not set. Next public username is set. What is, how's it looking on your end, chat? Oh, thanks. Just have to restart it. Go. Oh, yeah, that was the red every time. It was like, hey, your token expired. Okay, got that. Refresh. Cool. So I clicked on start consultation. I thought I did. No, don't want to work now. Home is good. This is good. Okay, that was weird. What am I getting? 401 unauthorized. That's definitely a token issue. It sounds like some of you guys are getting it though. Can I get a yay nay? Jonathan, how's it working out for you? I didn't mean to I didn't mean to call you out. Let's see here. 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 Oh my goodness. I'm in my sample.env.local file. Thanks, chat. That's on you. That's on okay. All right. Got that. Where we at? Workflow. Cool. Still not working. You also see sorry. Okay. Messages are 0. 401 unauthorized. So we know it's a JWT thing. I'm gonna try this one more time now that I went ahead and fixed that. What do we have here? This. So next public username is not set, even though it definitely is, right? So I think it is env.local. How about .env? I swear I can program. Okay, refresh. Yay, okay. Oh my goodness. .env.local will get you there. We should get a response like any second now. any second now. I'm going to look at the workflow. So a couple things to check, right? You should have if you tried it a couple times, you should have your workflow in a running state. So over in our app, I'm going to go to executions and workflow. And on my end, you can actually see that the workflows did complete. It's at 18. So yeah, this is the latest one. And I'm kind of curious to see if it completed, what happened. So I went to executions. I clicked on workflow and it went into a terminate state. The cool thing is that I can click on this and I can kind of inspect along the way of like, why did you pick that? Right? Because this went to send message. On the switch statement, the selected case was not send message. Okay, so I must have just missed the config over in my switch case. So I'm going to go to my workflow. Whoops, wrong workflow. Workflow. On this switch case value, notice that it's empty here, right? It's like, hey, what is determining the part that we need to be working with? And that's a simple fix that should get us to where we need to go. It's based off of what we had before. The next step decider, right? This right here, dot output, dot result. And then I believe we have a next, like dot next step is what we need to append on there. I'm going to throw that in the chat for everybody. And if you look at the format of things, if you run your workflow, you'll see that it's, dot next step. And I believe it's part of our AI prompt. I'm going to move a little fast on this due to time, but I'm going to save, go to my AI prompt and my decision maker. Where are you at? There it is. And I specifically told it like dot next step should be in here, right? This is the valid JSON that you should be returning. So we have this in place. My workflow is saved. So I'm going to head back over to my application, refresh, start it up. And hopefully any second now, we enter the send message clause. Maybe. Nope, let's investigate. So we're here, back in our workflow. And okay, cool, it failed. So we know it at least went into the send message. Awesome. We have that in place. And what was going on here? Failed because no chat history was provided. Did we mix that up? I think that was the part where you told me to fix it and I probably didn't fix it. So we are here. What do we have? Plan bundle, insurance plans. That all looks good. But it sounds like some of you are getting it. So I must have messed up somewhere. Matthias, it sounds like yours is working just fine. Is that what we're getting? Oh, same status as mine. No chat history. Interesting. Let's see here. Well, our send message is there. We only gave it the one case, and it's successfully getting past this part, right? Awesome. So let's go into our chat complete. If we look at the workflow, you see that it did fail. And if I come down here, okay, no chat history provided. What was the input? Nothing. All right. So we must not be passing data over to this LLM. Not a big deal. But let's see if we can fix that real quick. Go back to view definition. And let's see here. I wonder, switch case value. That looks good. Output.result, that looks good. Oh, wait, I think, let's see here. Yes. Our reference name is off. There we go. Let me just switch that to decision_path. So I believe in our AI prompt, that's what we're referencing. There we go. I'm going to save that, confirm, and then run this one more time. Okay. Maybe. Huh. No chat history provided. That is in our decision path. Let's see here. There we go. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm just taking a quick peek at this real quick. Okay, so this time we were given the input. Message history was not provided. The cool thing is like, okay, by switching it to decision path, we did end up getting the right information here. Right, so it failed. You can come down here, you can check on the input. We did get the instructions. We did get the prompt variables. And message history is in fact empty. I feel like we're so close. All right, we have all the data here. What are we missing? Let me check out my AI prompt. And this is my chat about insurance. Oops. Insurance plans, message history, in the plan bundle. Over my workflow. Let's see here, or actually in the definition. Insurance plans, message history, in the plan bundle. All right. Well, I think we do have to pause it due to time. I apologize. I feel like we're super close to getting this going in the full cycle here. The great news is that the README will be updated by the end of the day. So the only thing that you'll have to do is sort of bring your own OpenAI key. But you did get a chance to see the working demo, and the final result is uploaded into the README. So all that stuff is there. It's just, so if you wanted the easy way to kind of cheat and just grab the entire JSON file, as I mentioned, we create all of this JSON for you. If you take it, you can edit it. So if you came in here, copy and pasted it inside of there, there would be the working example. But I'll throw that into the README so that you can all see it. But in any case, I want to say thank you all for attending this workshop. Hopefully you get to see the power of Orkes and front-end applications working together. But with that, thank you for your time and definitely enjoy the rest of your conference.